Hello, and welcome to another Walking Dead video. Today we'll be kind of reviewing the webisode that we got with Fear the Walking Dead spin-off of Dead in the Water, a Fear the Walking Dead story. That title kind of feels a bit like a Star Wars story, like Solo, a Star Wars story. I get those vibes of the story. And basically, so this webisode is about Riley. You know, the Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 character, like Teddy's henchman? It's about him. And going into it, you'd be like, I don't really care. Like, Teddy was cool, but Riley, he was just kind of this side character that had a backstory. You didn't really care. However, this episode, I'm going to say right now, has no right to be as good as it is. And I'm like, come on, I want so much more by the end of this. So, I didn't really know what I was getting into with this episode. So, I thought it would be kind of, it's a webisode. It's a 6-part event. I thought, okay, it's 6 full episodes. But no, it's 6 mini things that make up to basically one whole episode. If I find out, like, next week there's 5 more, I'll be so excited. But I don't think there is. So it's only one episode, 6 parts. They kind of add up to about an hour, about 44 minutes, something like that. So you get about an episode. It's just a random Fear episode. And this episode follows Riley and dealing with the start of the apocalypse on the USS Pennsylvania. And I really like it. The first thing is, because this is not meant to be on TV, it's not cable, they're allowed to drop F-bombs. They drop out 4 in my account, and it's so good to see characters just dropping them. Because you're like, that's what a real person would say. Something like this happens, they're going to drop that. I would have expected it more, but that would be just kind of a bit too much. So the language is quite good, the dialogue is good. It's not like where they're like, in earlier seasons of The Walking Dead especially, where they're trying to work their way around it. You don't have any of that issues with the bad dialogue. The dialogue's good if something makes sense. Oh, they're going to drop an F-bomb, a real person would do that. So the characters do feel very real, just because they're dropping F-bombs and they're using real language that a real person would use in a situation they're in. So that's a massive bonus to language. Riley is also a massive standout character. It's a shame he's dead, and this is kind of a one-off thing. I wish we got a whole season of this. I think this could be a mini, like, limited season show, just to give some villains backstories like this. And I think it'd be really cool to not just have one episode. This could work, in my opinion, as a full-length, maybe 6-episode season. Just have a whole season or 2. They need to have, like, a villain show where it goes like the Walking Dead villains, and each season be dedicated to the origin of this or that villain. I think that'd be really cool. They kind of got tails, but just imagine if you had a show that would focus on, okay, we're going to do Walking Dead universe, and we'll just do villains per season. So this season we'll focus on this villain. This season, I think it'd be really good, because this, I really want a show out of this. It's so good. I really like Riley. He stands out. He could really he carries this. I'm going to call it an episode to make it easier. He carries this episode because he makes such smart decisions. With this taking place right at the start, you'd be like, oh, they're going to make stupid decisions like, oh, it's a walker, we don't know what they are yet, we're going to be something let it bite us. No, this man's smart. Man dies, man comes out the fridge, what does Riley do? Pick up the gun, just shoots at it. Oh, it's old XO's bit. Oh, he looks crazy like the man that I shot earlier. I'm just going to cave his head in. He's so smart. Like, the characters around him are slightly stupid. They're like, oh, we've got to help him. He's like, nah, mate. That man there, he's going to kill us, and just straight up murders them. I quite like how fast he adapted, and I thought it was just very realistic. And the show was like, we don't want to go through what Fear did and Walking Dead did, and all the other shows did with the characters first interact with the walkers. They have to be like, oh, we don't know what they're doing. Nah, right, just straight up gaves their skulls in. I really like that. It gets into the action quite well. It's very well paced. I really liked it, you'd think, just because it's split up into 6 different parts. The pacing's slightly off, but if you just watch it back to back constantly, one whole go, put it on one big loop, it works quite well. It's very good. It's very fun. I like how it's very claustrophobic, so it all takes place within the submarine. So it's very claustrophobic. It's very fear central. I quite like it. It's very good, very fun to watch, very entertaining, very good looking. They don't have any special music. Like some shows, you can tell the music's great. They're just reusing music for Fear. I don't like that. I just thought it was quite boring, quite lazy. Another downside is you can clearly see the budget isn't as high as the shows, because you can tell the makeup for the walkers looks bad. I didn't like the makeup on the walkers in both shows, and all shows at the start of the apocalypse, walkers, when they're turned, they look quite normal, and they just look just a bit pale. But in the show, fresh turned walkers, they have raised eyebrows, they look slightly decayed. I thought it was just quite bad. It just looked terrible. I didn't like the walkers. They looked bad. And you know, it's a webisode, it's not going to have the highest budget, but come on. Just, you don't have to put prosthetics on the people. It's the start of the apocalypse. Just give them like blue eyes, like they do at the start of Fear, and just make them look pale. That's all you needed to do. But no, they just kind of ruined it with some prosthetics, which sucks. I don't like it. It's just kind of an aesthetic thing. They ruined the prosthetics. And throughout the entire episode, as I call it an episode, even though it's a webisode, they have this cool little thing which shows the USS Pennsylvania, and it shows its status. And it goes like, oh, we only have this many, this many, this many. And stuff goes down fast on the USS Pennsylvania. Because right at the start, it's like, oh, there's 155. And then the next part is like, oh, there's only 139. You're like, what happened? And then, oh, only 89? It's just, it goes downhill fast. It'd be cool if we would have seen more of it, because we see a lot of this, oh, this has happened, this has happened. But we get told in these little cuts, which is slightly annoying, because, okay, how about you give us little shots of a few people just being overwhelmed by walkers, okay? There's only 3 on the boat, okay? There's 3 people bitten, and you'd be like, oh, you don't understand. Well, saying that Riley was smart, maybe there's some other people that were smart. It just went downhill too fast to be believable, in my opinion. It's the start of the apocalypse. They're in a condensed little thing. Maybe it would have gone down that fast, but I just felt like we should have seen it happen and not just been told it. Oh, okay, this people were dead now. This people were dead now. Because we saw it happen. Now that's about the ending, because I feel like the ending is really strong. It's a really good ending in a universe where a lot of Walking Dead shows and episodes have bad endings. This webisode, which is a one-off thing, which is criminal in my opinion, this should be its own show, just gets this fantastic ending where you can see that the actor who plays Riley can really act, because you can just, there's a scene where he's just kind of acting and there's someone dying on the phone and it's just breaking his heart. However, the one downside, tiny little quote, we can see his phone's turned off, so we can see it's clearly a prop phone. I didn't like that. Maybe you could have covered it on, maybe hid it so we can't see his phone was turned off the entire thing. That annoyed me slightly. But then we get this cool cut and we see this dodgy beard. This beard, if you look at it, it's clearly prosthetic. And you're like, yeah, well, the budget wasn't the highest, wasn't it? So there's a lot of little budget mistakes. And then we get Teddy cameo. And I thought that was amazing. You're like, oh, I want more. Because you just see Teddy. Teddy was my favourite event. He's up in my top 5 in the entire Walking Dead universe. Shame he's literally massively underused. But we get him again as a little cameo. And you're like, oh, yes. I want more. It just sequel baits so hard, you're like, you're never going to get more. It's a webisode. It's not like a real TV show. And it really sucked that we saw Teddy as a cameo and that was it. Now let's go to my one sentence, one word over review. And this thing doesn't deserve to be as good as it is. There are a few little issues, but that's obviously because of budget. It's a webisode. It can get away with doing things that the shows can't, which is like language and stuff like that, which I thought was really good. Riley was amazing in this, I'm going to call it episode again. This episode is just great. It's very well made with the limitations it has. It's a really cool thing to watch, a different perspective of how the apocalypse happens. We've seen Rick waking up and seeing the apocalypse. We've seen Madison and the Clark family's experience of the apocalypse firsthand. And now we've seen this kind of military way of how the apocalypse happened. I really liked it. I thought it was cool. It was a very different and interesting thing. And I would have to say, this is great. It's criminally underrated. That's only be this webisode. It's not a show. It's a great time. I recommend people should go watch it. This is one of the few things I'm like, go watch it. If you can't use it on AMC Plus, just go look it up on something else. Find it. I recommend you watching it. It's a great time. And that is the review. So please tell me down below. Have you seen it? Are you planning to see it? Are you not going to see it? What is your opinion on this little thing where Fear the Walking Dead had a spin-off, which is a webisode? Do you think it should be its own thing? I definitely think this should be its own show. It could definitely do 2 to 3 seasons to set up, and we'd be like, oh, cool, we can see the origin of the Fear Season 6 villains. I think that would be cool, but please tell me down below. Do you like the idea of a Fear the Walking Dead, or just a Walking Dead villain show which just kind of goes through the villains of all the shows and just gives them all origin stories? I think that would be cool. It kind of doing a bit what Tales does, but it can be specialised. Please tell me down below what your thoughts and opinions of this are. Do you want more of this? Do you not? Like, do you think this is a good one-off thing, or do you want more kind of dead in the water stuff? Please tell me down below. And if you look on the screen, you want more reviews, more Walking Dead content, look on the screen, there'll be something else you like guaranteed, and subscribe if you want more Walking Dead content all the time and keep up to date with most things Walking Dead. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you at a later date.